तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदामयं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining. So we'll continue our reading of the teachings of Queen Kunti. And we are on the verse, the very, very important verse. Whenever we think of Kunti Maharani, this verse is always remembered because what she is praying for is something which very few can actually pray for, because she's praying that Vipada Santita Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yatsyad Apunar Bhava Darshanam. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. So she's actually praying for calamities, which is, which shows us what an elevated level of consciousness and devotion she has. We'll read from this paragraph that I have highlighted here, and we'll continue our discussion. Okay, so would someone like to read? Yes,
Hare
Swati
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi durdaivam idrisham iha jani nananugraha. My dear Lord, you have given me such generous facilities to wish to contact you, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attachment for these things. I have attachment for so many things, but I have no attachment for chanting Hare Krishna. This is my misfortune. Krishna is so magnanimous that he is present before us by the transcendental vibration of his name, which has all the potencies of Krishna himself. And if we remain in contact with that name, we shall get all the benefits of Krishna benediction. But still, we are not inclined to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. This is our misfortune.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So here, this very wonderful verse from Shikshashtakam is being quoted. So Prabhupada is saying that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was praying that you have given me such generous facilities by which to contact you. The Lord has given us the facilities by which we can reach him. But Lord Chaitanya prays that I am so unfortunate that I have no attachment for these things. I have attachment for so many things, but I have no attachment for chanting Hare Krishna, and this is my misfortune. So Prabhupada has explained here that Krishna is so magnanimous, he is so merciful, that he is present before us just in his name itself, which is so simple, which can be chanted by everyone. And through this kind of chanting, I mean, through the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra itself, we can always be in contact with the Supreme Lord. And we shall get all the benefits of Krishna's benedictions. So we have discussed this earlier also, that even though this process is very simple, it is complete. We should not think that just because this process is very simple, it cannot have the same impact as doing yagyas or, very elaborate temple worship or dhyan for many years. No, Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that he has given all the potency in this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that's why in the Shikshashtakam also he's praying like this. Now, Lord Chaitanya is praying like this so that we can develop this mood that that we have to understand that this great fortune has been given to us. Are we really utilizing this to the fullest? This opportunity that has been given, are we really taking all the benefit that we can? So it's very important to understand what we have been given. Then we can really appreciate and value it. Otherwise, we can take it, sometimes sadly, we can take it very cheaply, and this is a learning for everyone, speaking for myself also, that this process is the most important thing. Like Prabhupada used to say that our advancement in Krishna consciousness will largely depend upon our chanting. So, and this is what we take a vow also now, that we will chant, and Prabhupada said minimum 16 rounds. And that also Prabhupada said that there should not be any question of the mind, and this is the problem that comes is we start bringing the mind in the chanting, and the mind takes us here, there, and everywhere. And that is something we have to practice, that our focus should only be on the hearing, on hearing the vibrations. That is actually going to do all the magic. So this whole verse from the Shikshashtakam, the first two lines that are mentioned, they elaborate that the Lord, Lord, your mercy is very great. But I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for this. And this is something that we should feel genuinely if we are not actually feeling attraction. And if we fall asleep during chanting, or if our mind gets distracted during chanting, we keep thinking of other things, then this means that our attraction is not to the point yet. These are the indications by which we can know. But if there's something that we find very attractive in this world, or a person that find very attractive in this world, we always alert when we are with them. Now, that is how we should be when we are chanting also, because that is the most important conversation that we are having. That is our conversation with Krishna. So we should understand that this is a great mercy of the Lord, that He has, uh, something that is so difficult to achieve. That is Krishna Prem, can be achieved by this simple process. So, understanding, unless we understand where we are going wrong, we will not be able to improve. So, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us, that we should feel that we are unfortunate that we don't have attraction for this. If we don't feel like this, then we'll not improve on this. If we feel that, okay, yeah, 16 rounds, I complete my 16 rounds, yeah, I'm doing everything else fine, I'm following everything, then we'll kind of have a very laid back attitude. But when we actually observe ourselves, how are we chanting? How much time are we taking in chanting? Are we really focusing on the chanting or not? In this way, if we actually observe ourselves and understand that what is lacking in us, then we go into this mood of correct lamentation. This is not the lamentation like the lamentation of this material world, where we think about something and we get depressed. No, this mood of lamentation that is expressed here, this will make us more alert and more more present when we are chanting. So the Lord has given the easily accessible and potent holy name, yet we sometimes lack the necessary attachment or anurag to chant it constantly. So that is something that we have to work towards. And the potency, the accessibility of the holy name that is mentioned in this verse, this verse of Shikshashtakam, that is highlighted in other scriptures also. Like for example, in Padma Puran, this shloka comes that Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Bhinnatvan Nama Namino. That means the holy name of Krishna is a transcendental touchstone, the embodiment of transcendental mellows. It is complete, pure, eternally liberated, and non different from Krishna, the possessor of the name. And this is also quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. So this is such a beautiful verse that the name of Krishna is a transcendental touchstone. And from that, we can get all the transcendental mellows. The name is completely pure. It is eternally liberated. It is non-different from Krishna, who is actually the possessor of the name. Also, in Bhagavad Gita, we read about the concept of the Lord being so magnanimous and present in an easy form. Lord Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that Satatam Kirtayanto Mamna. So some people say that, oh, where in Bhagavad Gita is it mentioned that you have to chant 16 rounds? So actually, if we read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying we should be doing Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. We should be chanting his names all the time. Right. So these kind of arguments come, and we should know from scriptural references how to answer these. But the point that is being highlighted in this paragraph that Prabhupada has written is that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us that the name is so merciful, the Lord is so magnanimous that He has given us this simple form, this beautiful Hare Krishna Maha Mantra through which we can achieve the highest destination. Okay. Now let's move to the next paragraph. Sudha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams.
Pranam Mataji.
A devotee, however, is never disturbed by dangers, reverses, or calamities. Rather, he welcomes them. Because he is a surrendered soul, he knows that both dangers and festivals are but different demonstrations of Krishna, who is absolute. In the Shastra, the Vedic literature, it is said that religion and irreligion, which are complete opposites, are merely the front portion and the back portion of God. But is there any difference between God's front and God's back? God is absolute, and therefore devotee, either in opulence or in danger, is undisturbed, knowing that both of these are Krishna. Mataji, should I
Hare Krishna.
continue?
We'll discuss this, Mataji,
Okay,
then.
okay, Mataji. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna. So, very important point, Prabhupada is mentioning that the devotee is never disturbed by dangers, reverses, or calamities. Rather, he welcomes them. And that is what Kunti Maharani is actually teaching us now. Such an exemplary personality. And she's telling that let calamities come again and again so that we may see you again and again. Because throughout the problems we have discussed earlier, also throughout the problems they were facing, they always had Krishna with them. And now Krishna is leaving. So she just wants Krishna's, in their present in their life so much that she's willing to even take the calamities. Because the presence of Krishna is so much greater than the problem that the calamities bring. So she's welcoming danger because it brings remembrance of Krishna. And Prabhupada is explained in the purport that a devotee is not disturbed by dangerous conditions. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, when Brahmaji is praying in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, this 8th verse, it's a very famous verse where Brahmaji says, Tattenu kampam susumikshamano. So it goes on to say that Jiveta yo mukti padesa daya bhag, that one who accepts all suffering as Krishna's mercy becomes eligible for liberation. So this is the standard reference for how devotees welcome adverse conditions. So if we have to know that who is that person who is eligible to achieve Krishna, to eligible to go back to Krishna, that is the person who earnestly is doing all the principles of following all the principles of bhakti, doing everything required, and quietly tolerating all the problems that are coming as just a reaction of his past misdeeds, and all the time waiting for eagerly for Krishna prem. So for them, it is their rightful claim. So I'll just read the translation of this verse. This is 10:14:8, Srimad Bhagavatam. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. I mean, very simple to read, but very hard to do. Because whenever problems come, the first thing that we want to do is find a reason. Oh, why is this happening to me? This should not have happened to me. I'm a good person. I've not harmed anyone. This should not happen to me. Why is God doing this to me? And we always want to, get out of it, do something to get out of it. But pure devotees, what do? They are not in this complaining mode. They are patiently tolerating all the effects of the past reactions and, you know, with obeisances with his heart, words, and body, they are offering obeisances to the Lord. And, such a devotee is surely eligible for liberation. For such a devotee, it has become their rightful claim. Okay. So this is a very important verse which we can try to remember how devotees welcome adverse conditions. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Srila Sridhar Swami explains in his commentary that just as a legitimate son has to simply remain alive to gain an inheritance from his father, right? For a rightful, legitimate son, it is the claim, rightful claim, the father's property is his rightful claim. So, in this way, a devotee who simply remains alive in Krishna consciousness, following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, such a devotee automatically becomes eligible to receive the mercy of the Supreme Lord. In other words, he will be promoted to the kingdom of God. So, Susumikshamana means that a devotee earnestly awaits the mercy of the Supreme Lord, even while suffering the painful effects of the previous sinful activities. I mean, when someone is in a good time, reading this verse, we may think, okay, yeah, this is, doable. I can also do this. But when we are actually in the midst of suffering, then to actually be patient, really follow this verse is very difficult. But that is the thing. We have to read such verses. We have to do mananam on these verses so that we try to bring this in our action also. Right. Like Lord Krishna explains, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Lord Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that a devotee who fully surrenders unto him is no longer liable to suffer the reactions of his previous karma. However, because in his mind a devotee may still maintain the remnants of his previous sinful mentality, the Lord removes the last vestiges of the enjoying spirit by giving his devotee punishments that may sometimes resemble sinful reactions. The purpose of the entire creation of God is to rectify the living entity's tendency to enjoy without the Lord. And therefore, the particular punishment given for a sinful activity is specifically designed to curtail the mentality that produced that activity. So the devotee understands that why are we undergoing suffering? It's because those last, for advanced devotees, those last even those last remnants of any kind of sinful mentality, everything gets removed. So we may see that devotees who are following all the principles very nicely, they are doing everything right. We may see that sometimes in their life also some suffering is coming, some problem is coming. It could be health issues, it could be financial or family issues. So we should not think that, what is the point of doing bhakti? We have to understand that the devotees become purified of sinful reactions, but some small traces, if they are remaining, like it's the example is given that when we switch off the fan also, it runs for a little while. No? So for devotees, pure devotees, even though sinful reactions have gone, some whatever little small trace is there, the Lord is removing that completely and He's making them completely pure so that they are able to reach Krishna. Okay. But the point that we have to understand is that devotees, they don't get perturbed by the problems that are coming. When they are truly attached to Krishna, they will do everything that is necessary to solve the problem. We don't have to think like devotees will just sit with one hand on the other. Whenever a problem comes, they take it, okay, yeah, this is my suffering, this is the suffering that is due to me, and they won't do anything. It's not like that. Devotees are practical also. Whatever practical steps they need to take, they do take. So for example, if someone is having a disease, they will go to a doctor. If someone is having any legal problem, they will go to a lawyer. But the thing is that they are not getting perturbed by these situations that are coming. They still, their relationship with Krishna, their sadhana, and that doesn't get affected. Right. So Arjuna's example also, when his sons were killed, and when Abhimanyu was killed, uh, he was sad, right? Pandavas were sad, Draupadi was sad. But did that stop them from doing their devotional practice? No. So they tolerated those things all the while waiting for Krishna's mercy. Also in Bhagavad Gita 2.56, Lord Krishna says that one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. So these problems that are coming up, they should not take us out of our path of bhakti. That is something we have to really practice very strongly. And devotees, for them, they see happiness and distress, everything as Krishna's arrangement. Because when they are totally attached to Krishna, then they don't see anything separate from Krishna. Right. Generally, when we start our devotional life, we have two separate lives. We have our normal family, work, day-to-day life, and then we have one life where we are doing our sadhana when we go to the temple. But when the bhakti advances, then there is no difference in these two lives. Everything becomes one because everything becomes full of Krishna. The devotee is able to see Krishna everywhere. So that is why in distress also they are able to see Krishna. So in Bhagavad Gita also in the 12th chapter, Lord Krishna mentions that a devotee is tolerant, a devotee is self-satisfied, a devotee is undisturbed in any situation. So and in Bhagavatam, in the third canto, 25th chapter, 21st verse, we read that a devotee sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord. So this concept of not hating anything, not desiring anything, not seeing anything away from Krishna, that becomes very natural for the devotee. And that is why for them there is no up and down in their devotional life. Their devotion is always at a high level only. In the initial stages, we see that our devotion keeps going up and down. When things are fine, then we may be doing bhakti properly. In times of difficulty, some devotees they stop coming to the temple also. And then when we ask them that, when they're asked that why are you not coming, then they're all reasons that, oh, I'm undergoing so many problems, so I'm not able to come to the temple. But our seniors explain that we have to start coming to the temple. That is when our problems will actually get solved. That is when we'll get real solutions to our problems. So in the initial stages, it's all very up and down, because we get really affected by all the problems or the happiness that is coming in our life. Sometimes even great happiness can take us away from the path of bhakti. But for devotees, they are undisturbed. Whatever is happening, their bhakti will remain untouched. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11 to 45 verse, it is said that the most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. For a devotee, their connection with Krishna has become so strong that they know that if suffering is also coming, Krishna is only sending this for some reason. And their faith, their conviction in the Lord's benevolence is so strong, it's so unshaken, that they think that something, there is some reason behind this also, even though I may not understand it right now. So they are completely free from the tendency to enjoy things separately from the Lord's service. So he does not see anything in the universe as unfavorable because he sees everything as the expanded potency of the Supreme Lord. So, for such a devotee, their purpose in existing is to give pleasure, somehow or other, to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord. So, that's why, for a pure devotee, whatever they are experiencing, moment by moment, it increases his ecstatic longing, his ecstatic loving desire to satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord. For devotees, their life is not about what is giving me pleasure. Their life is about what will give Krishna pleasure. And that is why we see that they are not attached to any particular seva, they are not attached to any particular position. No, those things can keep changing, but for them, all they want is to satisfy Krishna. So wherever they are totally equipoised. So the conditioned souls, the normal conditioned souls, they will be tormented by the three modes of material nature. They absorb our mental energy so much. But for devotees, they don't get affected by these things. And being able to see Krishna's hand everywhere, I mean, that is something uh, which is of a very elevated nature. So, like Prabhupada mentions here, but is there any difference between God's front and God's back? God is absolute. And therefore, a devotee, either in opulence or in danger, is undisturbed knowing that both of these are Krishna. So, a devotee is actually able to see that even in calamity, Krishna is there with me. If this is happening, it is happening after Krishna has given his approval. So, then it will be something, something good will come for me, or, this is necessary for me. They are able to see that. And that is why they don't get overwhelmed when they are faced with negative situations. This concept of religion and irreligion being God's front and back, I mean, this is also discussed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, just like um, happiness and distress are also both sides of the Lord, religion and irreligion are also sometimes explained as God's front and back. See, whether it is irreligion also, people who are non-devotees also, they are also part of the Lord's, creation. They are also part of the Lord only. Right? They are all souls. So there is nothing actually which is separate from Krishna. But it's just that we have to understand, we have to take our consciousness to such a level that we are able to absorb the shock that comes in the times of distress. So at that time, by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of the Lord, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, if a devotee is able to tolerate those times of distress, then that really elevates one's consciousness to a higher level. Because Krishna is absolute truth without a second. His form, his activities, everything is transcendental. And anything that he is doing in a devotee's life, it can never be bad because the devotee has surrendered everything to Krishna. So then, how can Krishna let anything happen that is not ultimately good for the devotee? On the face of it, it may appear like a reversal, but then we have to have faith that the Lord has a plan, a higher plan. Okay. Yeah. Now let's go to the next paragraph. When a devotee is in danger, anyone wants to read? Yes, Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Hare Krishna
When a
Mataji.
devotee is in a danger, he thinks, now Krishna has appeared before me as a danger. In his form of Narsimhadev, the Lord was dangerous to the demon Hiranyakashipu, but the same Narsimhadev was the supreme friend to the devoted Prahlad Maharaj. God is never dangerous to the devotee, and the devotee is never afraid of danger because he is confident that the danger is but another feature of God. Why should I be afraid? The devotee thinks I am surrendered to him. Therefore, Kunti Devi says, Vipada Santu, let there be calamities. Vipada Santu Tha Shashvat. Let all those calamities happen again and again because she knows how to remember Krishna at the times of danger. She is welcoming danger. My dear Lord, she says, I welcome dangers because when dangers come, I can remember you. When Prahlad Maharaj father was putting him into dangerous predicaments, Prahlad was always thinking of Krishna. So if we were put into dangerous position and the danger gives us an impetus to remember Krishna, that is welcome. Oh, I am getting this opportunity to remember Krishna. Why is this welcome? It is welcome because seeing Krishna or remembering Krishna means advancing in spiritual life so that we will not have to suffer any more of these dangers. Chakra deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. If one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness, the result will be that after giving up the body, Chakra deham, one will not have to take birth again in this material world. Punarjanma naiti. This is to be desired. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Danvat Pranam. So, this example of Narsimhadev's form was very ferocious, and for Hiranyakashipu, that was death personified. But for Prahlad Maharaj, he was the loving Lord that he was always worshipping. So, because of that deep relationship and connection of love that a devotee has with the Lord, God is never dangerous to the devotee, and the devotee is never afraid of dangers because he is confident that the danger is but another feature of God. So, for example, if a mother dresses up in some different clothes, the child will still know that this is my mother, right? So that is how, even if the Lord's presence in our life is sometimes coming in the form of a danger, a pure devotee knows that this is Krishna's mercy only coming in another form. Okay, so that is why the devotees are able to maintain they're able to stay equipoised throughout the times of calamity. Kunti Devi and the Pandavas also, they show us by their example. It's not that she's just saying these words, and she doesn't mean it, but she actually means it, and she has shown this throughout her life, and not just her, but her children also. That throughout all the calamities that they were going through, they were always connected to Krishna. They didn't just put their hands up and say that this is too much, I cannot take it anymore, I'm going to just run away. No, they were tolerating it. Even Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna tells him that Krishna gives all the knowledge and then tells Arjuna that now you decide, now you think and you decide what you want to do. And Arjuna thinks that, yes, I will do what you are asking me to do. So, throughout the different problems, and their problems were of an extreme nature, they never lost their connection with Krishna. So here again we can think of the Bhagavatam verse that one who sees all suffering and danger as a Lord's mercy and continues to offer respects is eligible for liberation. So that level of devotion where one becomes eligible for liberation, that is a very high level. And what do we need to do to reach that level? Is to follow all the principles nicely. And how does one know that one has reached that level? When one is actually able to tolerate all the miseries without complaining, just waiting for Krishna's mercy patiently. For such a devotee, you know, this this whole concept of going back to Godhead, that actually becomes a reality. And Kunti Maharani, she's praying that all calamities let them come and come again and again, because she sees danger also as Krishna's arrangement to bring his presence. So just because the Lord's presence was there, that itself is so powerful that they were not disturbed by any of the danger that they were going through. Now, again, coming back to the example of Lord Narsimhadev, he looked very fearsome to Hiranyakashipu, but very pleasing to Prahlad Maharaj, right? And to the demon Hiranyakashipu, he looked like a ferocious lion. But to Prahlad Maharaj, he just seemed most gentle and affectionate, right? And Narsimhadev was ferocious only to the demon. To the devotee, he appeared as the most affectionate protector. So the same Lord, but just seen differently. Same form appears differently due to the disposition of the living being. So how are we disposed? Are we favorably disposed or are we inimical? Are we against the Lord or are we on the Lord's side? Because if we have this faith, if we are able to develop this faith that whatever happens, it is happening by Krishna's approval, only after Krishna's approval. So, this, even though I may not know it now, but this is actually going to be right for me. So, the Supreme Lord is the friend of the devotees. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna prays, my devotee never perishes. In 5.29 Bhagavad Gita, he says, na, Suhridam, he is the best friend of all living entities. So these things, it is easier to memorize these verses, but to actually understand that my Lord is my best friend, that takes practice, that takes sadhana. Prahlad Maharaj actually praised Lord Narasimhadev that, oh Lord, you are always the well-wisher of all the fallen souls. And Srila Prabhupada repeatedly states that God is never terrible to the devotee. The devotee is able to stay fearless. Why? Because they are surrendered, right? If a child sees a knife in the mother's hand, the child has so much faith in the mother's love that the child will know that this knife is not for harming me, but to again cook something. The mother is going to cook something for me. She's not going to harm me. Even a patient, when they see a syringe or they see a knife in the hand of the doctor, the surgeon, why are they not afraid that he's going to harm me? That fear is not there, no? Why is it not there? Because they have faith that the doctor is actually my well-wisher and he's going to do something good for me. So these are practical examples through which we can try to understand where our consciousness needs to go. In 9.22, Krishna says that I personally protect what my devotee lacks. In 18.66, he says, leave everything and just surrender unto me. I shall protect you. And he says, do not fear. Right? Mahashucha. Don't be afraid. So and there's so many reference in the Shastras where Lord Krishna is telling his devotees that don't be afraid, and where it is mentioned that when one is fully surrendered, the devotees become fearless. They have nothing to fear. All these things are being taught to us. Why? Because fear is an emotion that can really engulf our consciousness completely. There are so many things that we are afraid of in this world, right? Whether there are things within our mind, whether there are external things, so much uncertainty about the future. There are so many things which can really make us very afraid. But what is the way of becoming fearless? That is by having this strong connection with Krishna. So for a devotee, both danger and festival are the same, right? That's what Prabhupada is saying. So the Lord may appear in a fearful form, but for the devotee, there is no fear because he's under the Lord's protection. Actually, in Srila Prabhupada's life, also we have a pastime where this was an incident during the World War II, bombing of Calcutta. So there were bombs being shelled on Calcutta, but where Prabhupada, and in that area also, there was a warning that bombs are going to, there's a threat of bombs. So everyone was moving for shelter. So there used to be air raid sirens. So his friends were urging him to take shelter. But Prabhupada wanted to offer some kachoris to Krishna. So this was in around December 1942. So most of the population had evacuated the city. But Prabhupada, he remained with a few others and he was about to offer and have prasad that included kachoris. And you know, kachoris were Srila Prabhupada's favorite. Now, his friends also came to give him a warning that air raid siren was sounding, so bombs were imminent. So let's go to a shelter. But Prabhupada told his friends that you all please go to the shelter. He said, I'm going to stay. I'm going to offer this bhoga to Krishna, and I'm going to take prasad and chant Hare Krishna. So what was the outcome? He finished eating his meal, And then he went to the shelter room, and after that the bombing began. And he reflects on this experience, thinking that the bombing was another form of Krishna. So Prabhupada is not just writing these things in the purport. Prabhupada has actually done this in his real life, where he was able to see that the bomb is also another form of Krishna. So this account is shared by devotees to teach us that how fearless Prabhupada was, and his dedication of offering to Krishna, his seva was very important. His chanting was very important. So he did not give that up. Even when he went to America, how fearless was that? I mean, how many of us can, even in today's times when we are when the travel has become more easier and we know more about America, we may even know people in America, we may have family members there, we may have money also. Still, how many of us will have the courage to just go there alone, and that too at the age of 70? That requires real fearlessness and surrender to Krishna. Once in a European country, there was one case against ISKCON, which devotees were fighting. So Shivram, His Holiness Shivram Maharaj was there. So they were talking to the lawyers, and then the lawyers who were fighting on behalf of ISKCON, they asked about the history of ISKCON and everything. And when they got to know everything, the chief lawyer said that you don't know what your Guru Maharaj has done. And devotees said that we know, we are followers of Srila Prabhupada. We know what a big thing he did. So this lawyer said that no, you know, but you don't understand it because you're not 70 years old. I am, and I know how difficult it is to do any simple thing also at the age of 70. And at that age, your Guru Maharaj went and he started a worldwide movement. So, how could Prabhupada have done that if he was not really fearless? So that is why when he's writing these purports are so powerful, because Prabhupada is writing by his personal experience. When he is telling us to be fearless, first he himself is extremely fearless. Going to a completely new country without really knowing anyone, he didn't know anyone in New York. And we can imagine that what kind of culture shock it was going from Seva Kunj in Vrindavan to New York of the 60s with the with the hippie culture, and that was the center of the hippie culture with drug addicts and all that kind of an environment that requires real fearlessness. So Prabhupada really is an embodiment of fearlessness, we can say. And then in the last paragraph that we learned today, Kunti Maharani is welcoming danger as an opportunity to remember Krishna. So Prabhupada has written in the purport to 1825 Srimad Bhagavatam that a devotee does not care for the distresses of life. He takes them as an opportunity to remember the Lord. This precisely is what Kunti Devi is doing, right? They take everything as an opportunity to remember Krishna. Whether favorable things happen in life or unfavorable things happen in life, a devotee is always able to see Krishna's hand. And when we read all these things, we can understand how personal Krishna is, na? Because he is directly involved in the lives of devotees. He's not some distant God who's staying in the clouds and he's just passing judgments. It's not like that. He's very personally present in the lives of devotees. And that is something, this kind of conversation that we are having, it may seem very common to us, now that when we talk about Krishna helping us, Krishna being involved in the lives of devotees. To us, it appears very common because thanks to our acharyas, we know that Krishna is personally involved and he is very personal. But generally, for a lot of people, for them, God is someone who's very distant. If I do good, he'll give me good results. If I do bad, he's going to give me bad results. But other than that, he's not really involved in my life. But it is on this path of bhakti that we know and understand that Krishna is actually personally involved in our life. So in the life of Prahlad Maharaj, what kind of problems he was going through? He was just a 5-year-old boy. He was thrown from a hill. He was poisoned. He was trampled by elephants. He was thrown into a fire. He was put among snakes. But in every situation, the Lord protected him because he remembered Krishna constantly. So this is, when Prahlad Maharaj speaks, he says that because of remembering you, O Lord, I'm always safe despite all dangers. So sometimes the protection of the Lord may not come in the form that we are expecting, but we have to understand that the Lord always protects our bhakti. Physical protection sometimes may or may not be there, depending upon our situation, depending upon what is actually going to keep us on the path of bhakti. Sometimes, when life becomes very comfortable, over comfortable, then we may actually forget Krishna. That also happens, no? When things are going so nice. And in the lives of others, also, we see sometimes when we are trying to preach someone to chant Hare Krishna or to read Bhagavad Gita, they are not at all interested because they think, why do I need all this? My life is already very comfortable. So I don't have any problems that need to be solved. So why should I go and pray to God? So that is also one reason why some people don't come to Krishna consciousness. So sometimes, like his Grace Amoglila Prabhu says that Krishna sprinkles some reactions on us, and that will be just enough to keep us glued to the path of bhakti. So those kind of reactions, sometimes adverse situations come, reversals come, but Krishna will give only a very, cleverly administered quantity so that it keeps the devotee on the path of bhakti. Um, just to give an example of Her Grace Yamuna Mataji. Uh, Yamuna Mataji was very dear disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and we know what great services she has rendered for Srila Prabhupada. But once Prabhupada chastised her for some small thing only, but he chastised her. I think something was not clean or something was not dusted, something like that. But then Prabhupada explained it to another devotee who was present at that time that I chastised her because I know that she can take it. Right? So Guru knows, Krishna know what is the capacity of each devotee. Right? So accordingly, the problems come in the lives of devotees. But Kunti Maharani is teaching us that danger is also welcome if it gives us remembrance of Krishna. Sometimes, when we pass through a very difficult situation in life, that actually makes our bhakti stronger. Some of may have that uh, some of us may have that personal example in our life that maybe we were a little careless, maybe we were a little easygoing in life, in our bhakti life also. And then some calamity, some problem struck. And through that, through those moments of pain, through those situations of pain, when we came out of it, our attachment to Krishna, our attachment to our Guru Maharaj may have actually increased. So Krishna knows what to do when. We have to have that faith that, he is my best friend. He is my ultimate well-wisher. And every calamity can actually be a blessing for a devotee if it helps them remember Lord. Why? Because Prabhupada is stating in this purport, in the last para that we read today, that why is it welcome? Because seeing Krishna or remembering Krishna means advancing in spiritual life so that we will not have to suffer any more of these dangers. See, as long as we are in this material world, dangers will be there and reversals will be there. This is how this material world is. It is dukhalayam mashashvatam. But then, what is the way of getting out? That is when our consciousness is completely absorbed in Krishna. So, if there is a problem that is coming, that is causing me to remember more and more about Krishna, then that is also helping me now in some way because it is helping me think of Krishna more and more, being absorbed in Krishna more and more. So devotees are able to accept danger also uh, as a special mercy of the Lord because it deepens their remembrance. Then in Bhagavad Gita 8.6 also it is mentioned that whatever one remembers at the time of death, that state he attains. So if we are in, and then in the next few verses, 8.8, it is mentioned that with constant remembrance of Krishna, one will reach the Supreme. So that last moment of test, this whole life is a preparation for that moment. Are we going to remember Krishna at that moment or not? So if our life is molded in such a way that we are able to think of Krishna in everything, whether something good happens, whether something bad happens, are we able to think of Krishna? If yes, then we are really practicing very well for that last moment, because that last moment is very, very painful. If we have not practiced throughout our life, then we'll not be able to remember Krishna at that. And we can see from the life of pure devotees like His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Swami Maharaj. He was suffering from cancer. He was in intense physical suffering, but he he dictated entire books from his sick bed. He accepted this intense suffering as Krishna's arrangement, and he completely remained absorbed in prayer and chanting. So his mood was that let my body be used for Krishna till the last breath. That's what Srila Prabhupada was also doing till the last breath. Even when he was in a very painful condition, their remembrance of Krishna did not shatter, right? Did not go away. And right now also we are seeing that in the war zones like Ukraine, ISKCON community, there are hundreds of devotees in Ukrainian yatras, and they have continued their daily temple programs, distributing prasadam, hosting refugees, holding kirtans, even in this time of when many temples are also getting damaged, but they are showing powerful powerful courage, even in this modern time. And of course, very, very powerful example of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. I mean, he has multiple life threatening illnesses, but has his power reduced? Doctors had actually said that he may never speak or walk again, but he continues to preach worldwide. He gives classes daily, even with great difficulty. There have been days when he went for some eye surgery in the morning, and in the evening he was giving Facebook live classes, because he often says that whatever time Krishna gives, I will use it for my Guru Maharaj. So such exemplary examples we have, not just in the scriptures but also right now in front of us. So this is a big learning that Kunti Maharani is giving us, that how we can see Krishna's hand everywhere, and what great her devotion is, that she's able to actually pray for suffering and calamity to come. Right? So all glories to Kunti Maharani, all glories to the great devotees of Lord Krishna. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions, any comments, anything you want to add, any realizations you want to share? No? Okay. Okay, then thank you all so much for your patient hearing. We'll continue again next week. Thank you so much. Vancha
Hare Krishna
kalpatrubhyascha.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Mataji,
Yes,
you
Prabhu.
asking us to share your experiences, realizations.
Hmm.
Mataji, ಈ
Yes, Prabhu. Not able to hear
your
you.
kind self is glorifying the Supreme Lord like anything. So you go enlighten. Now, Mataji, am I audible now?
Yeah, yeah, now we are
Audible?
able to. Yes, yes, Prabhu. Yes, please.
Mataji, you are so enlightened soul. You are giving this lecture, so we can't, we go on hearing classes. That's all. So, boys, because if we tell anything else, we used to forget that. So we are very sincerely hearing your class. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu. I'm just repeating what I've heard from devotees. Actually, implementing this is very difficult for me also, because even small problems, I get very disheartened, and I feel very weak. But yeah, that's what we have to keep reading, hearing, chanting, so that at least in some percentage we are able to imbibe this mood. So yeah, it's all glories to Srila Prabhupada that we are able to read about such great personalities. Yeah.
by hearing class, I myself comparing myself to your kind self, what you are saying, so regarding chanting and all those things, to that extent, am I here? Am I there? So I am thinking like that. So it motivates the audience, devotees, be in Krishna conscious, a faithful manner, that too in sincerity. So that was I you to realize, and I am myself thinking about that. Oh, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So now
Thank
we
you,
are
Prabhu.
not hearing only classes, Mataji. Bhavas. What your kind self, what your kind self is expressing in bhava, that is also education for us. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. We all are learning together, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your kind words. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much. We'll meet again next week. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, कुंती महारानी की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री गुरु महाराज की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। थैंक यू ऑल सो मच। हरि बोल, हरे कृष्णा, जय शिला प्रभुपाद। हरे
Hare
कृष्णा,
Krishna.
Hare
Dasara.
Krishna. Thank you
धन्यवाद
much.
प्रणाम। हरे
Namaste,
कृष्णा, थैंक यू
pranam.
सो मच। हरे कृष्णा।